kind of waiting for it to be 7 o'clock before we kick off. So welcome everybody so far. And thank you for signing in on time.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, once again. Welcome to the Windrush Awareness Raising webinar. It's the last in the series that we've run. My name is Iritiola Badamasi. I'm a member of NSF UK, which stands for Nigerian Schools Foundation UK. NSF UK is an association of member schools, alumni schools in the UK that have come together, and the body that actually supports our schools back home in Nigeria. We recently got a contract to deliver the awareness raising session from, thank you, Pat, the awareness raising session to raise the awareness about the Windrush program, the Windrush era in the UK amongst the Nigerian community. So today is the third event that we're running. We've run 2 live events where it was face-to-face, and today's one is a webinar, which is open to people from all over the world, really. So without further ado, I'm just going to say how this project came to be about. We put in an application and we got funded by the Home Office to deliver this project because they were aware that the Nigerian community is not accessing or even inquiring about their rights to the Windrush opportunities and the scheme. So the project is funded by the Home Office, and today we have two speakers with us that will be able to walk us through what is required, what the Windrush scheme is all about, and how to apply, and what our eligibility criteria is. We have in the house Anthony K. Ogunfeibo and Mr. Dele Dada. So welcome to both of you. So those will be our panel speakers for the day, and we will introduce them just as they're about to come on. I also wanted to let you know that this event is actually being recorded, and is recorded so that if people want to go back and have a look at what we're talking about today, you can access that through our website, which is nsf.uk. You can access it from there. Or also, we're going to be sending out information to people that have attended the event, either through email. Well, it will be mainly through email, or you can access the information on our website. The speakers are going to speak in between the topics. We're going to be covering things like polls. And the reason why we're doing these polls is because the Home Office also want to find out reasons why our community is not applying for the Windrush Compensation Scheme. So we'll just want to ask you why, if you were aware, and if why you're not applying for it. So just some honest answer, and we'll encourage everybody to participate in that. Also, there'll be 3 of those coming up, and then there will also be, and it's also for us to collect statistics around this event that we've been running. And hopefully, if we're able to deliver this very well, maybe in future we can actually have more events by proving that we can do this quite successfully. So I'm not going to talk too much now. I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Anthony K. Ogunfeibo to talk you through what this whole thing is about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ireti. Yeah, my name is Anthony K. Ogunfeibo, and I'm the principal solicitor and partner of Anthony Ogunfeibo and Co-Solicitors, based in Camberwell in London. The firm was established in 1996, and well, we're still up and running. Now, I've been asked to give basically a bird's eye view, or should I say an overview, of what the Windrush scheme is all about. Can I just say to start with that when people hear the word Windrush, their mind generally goes to the name of a ship known as the Empire Windrush, on which the first set of immigrants came to the UK from the West Indies. This was about 75 years or so ago. Now, the Windrush scheme itself actually arose out of what I would call a massive oversight and error by the Home Office. Just by way of background, what basically happened was that in 1971, the British Parliament passed the Immigration Act of 1971, which came into force on the 1st of January 1973. Now, everything seemed to be all above board. Everything seems to be going swimmingly well until round about March or April 2018, when it was discovered that there was a massive oversight by the Home Office with regards to actually documenting immigrants, Commonwealth immigrants, who were supposed to be granted indefinite leave to remain as a result of the Immigration Act of 1971. So basically, when the Immigration Act of 1971 was passed, the overall effect of that act, of that piece of legislation, was to give Commonwealth citizens who were already in the UK the right, the indefinite leave to remain in this country, in the UK, and also the right to work and live in the UK. So that was the effect, the legislative purpose of the Immigration Act of 1971. However, going forward to March, April 2018, it was actually discovered that the Home Office had not actually issued documents to those Commonwealth citizens who were supposed to have benefited from the Immigration Act of 1971 in being granted indefinite leave to remain in the UK and in being issued with documents which confirm their status as people or as persons having indefinite leave to remain in the UK. That was the first problem. So once that error, once that oversight was discovered, the government, the UK government, then commissioned a report to look into why that oversight, why that error took place. And as a result of what the step the British government took to find out exactly where things went wrong, a commission of inquiry was set up, known as the Wendy Williams Inquiry. And what came out of that inquiry was a report by Dame Wendy Williams, which basically made recommendations as to how the failings by the Home Office could be remedied. First, by the Commonwealth citizens who were not issued with the correct documentation by virtue of the Immigration Act of 1971. How those people could now be issued with documents confirming that they had the right to, they had indefinite leave to remain in the UK. In other words, they had the right to live and work in the UK indefinitely without any restrictions. So that's the so-called Windrush scheme that comes under the Windrush scheme for compensation. Now, after it was discovered that there were problems with the Home Office not issuing the Commonwealth citizens with documentation, it was also discovered that as a result of these Commonwealth citizens not having the correct documentation, they didn't, a lot of them, in fact, the majority of them didn't have access to healthcare, education, jobs, and housing. And the government then realized that as a result of that, most of these Commonwealth citizens, undocumented Commonwealth citizens, had suffered losses because obviously, if you can't get a job, you can't access healthcare, you would have suffered a loss, you would have suffered as a result of that. And it was for that purpose that the Windrush Compensation Scheme, which is the second element of the scheme, was brought into play. In other words, to compensate those who, as a result of not being documented, yes, as having the right to indefinitely to remain in the UK, was to compensate those people for the loss that they've suffered as a result of not being able to prove that they had indefinite leave to remain in the UK, and as such, the compensation scheme was set up for them and also members of the family. Now, where it gets interesting, and of course, Dele Dada would also be talking about this, my colleague Dele Dada will be talking about this, where it gets interesting is that it's not just because let's face it, some of these guys have passed away. We're talking 1973, January 1973 is over 50 years. Some of them have passed away. But the good thing about the scheme is that their descendants, their children, in some cases their relatives, their siblings, can actually apply for compensation on their behalf. So they can apply for compensation under the Windrush Compensation Scheme, yes, to claim damages or to claim compensation for the losses those Commonwealth citizens have suffered as a result of not being documented with the right to indefinite leave in the UK, brought about by the Immigration Act of 1971. Now, before I hand over to my colleague again, Dele, who will talk about eligibility for the scheme, I should also point out that the scheme is not solely about Commonwealth citizens, because that's a mistake a lot of people make. They think it's just for Commonwealth citizens. It isn't actually, because if you're also from any country and you came to the UK before December 1998, you can also, and you're now settled in the UK, you can also qualify under the scheme and claim compensation for any losses that you've suffered as a result of not being able to prove your right to stay in the UK. So without further ado, I would now hand over to Dele Dada to talk about eligibility under the scheme. Thank you very much.
I think we should just pause here, just to find out,
Hello?
if people were aware of the scheme, of the Windrush scheme and the era, and if they were aware that Nigeria was part of the Windrush scheme. So I would hand over to the tech team if they can publish the polls, and I please urge you all to please respond to those questions so that we can move on very quickly. Also, for any questions that you might have, we will take the questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
We've got currently just over 60%, so just waiting for more people to take part in the poll, and then we'll publish the results.
I feel I should be doing a song and dance whilst you're doing the poll.
So we seem to be at about 80% of participants participating in the poll. Not sure whether anyone else wants to. Okay, here we're up to 82, 83, a few more people coming in. Okay, we are at about 83% and we seem to be stuck on around that number. So we'll just end the poll now.
All right, Dele, the floor is yours to tell us about eligibility and how to apply.
Okay.
Yes,
My name is
sir.
Dele Dada, and I'm a consultant solicitor.
I think Dele has dropped off.
Antonio
so,
Gunfebo and Co.
Okay,
with
it's back.
responsibility for heading up the immigration team at that establishment. My colleague, Anthony K, has already introduced the Windrush scheme. You will find that at some points, there might be a bit of an overlap. It's all well and good because we want you to have a clear understanding of how the scheme arrived and how you can benefit from it. Prior to 1971, after the Second World War, in 1948, the British Nationality Act actually invited people from Commonwealth countries to come to the UK to work. And that is what started this whole process off. But in 1971, the British government realized that these people that had helped them nation build after the war should be rewarded. And what was that reward? That reward was to the effect that, yes, we initially invited you to come to work, but we are now saying that you can remain in the UK indefinitely. So that was passed in 1971. And if you look at what the rules say, the rules say that if you have arrived in the UK from a Commonwealth country prior to 1973, you can benefit from that scheme. You also, if you are a child of a parent or grandparent that arrived before 1973, you can also benefit from that scheme. But the British government took it further, like my colleague explained to you, and said, okay, let's leave the Commonwealth bit out of it. If you arrive from any country before 1988, you can equally benefit from that scheme. Now, where it relates to children that arrived, the only thing the Home Office are looking at is that you arrived before the age of 18. So that's the starting point. When we're talking about eligibility, that is the starting point. Now, there are also other things that you have to consider. And this is what leads to a lot of confusion from people. And my colleague pointed that out by saying that 1973 is a long time ago. So people may ordinarily think that they can't benefit from the scheme because it's such a long time ago. But I'll tell you what, there are three categories of claimants. There's the primary claimant, and your parents might have passed away. You may be the primary claimant on the basis that you suffered as a result that your parents could not prove that they had a right to live in the UK. It could be a family member so closely tied to the person that came at that time. If that person can prove that they suffered as a result of that, of the primary claimant not being able to prove that they had a right to stay in the UK, they can also claim on their own right. There's a third aspect that we need to look at. And again, Anthony touched on this. Even if you died, you are the primary claimant and you died, the person looking after your estate can also claim on your behalf. So we're talking about claiming and all that. We also have to remember that there are some rules tied to this claim. If you are in the UK now, all the Home Office is asking is that you have a right to remain in the UK. That is what we regard as settlement. So either settlement or a right to legally be in the UK, or you are on a route that will eventually lead you to settlement. Once you fulfill these conditions, you are well vested in a position to make this application. Now, it's not enough to say that you fall into these categories. You still have to show the Home Office exactly why you are making the claim and what the detrimental aspect of the claim is as far as it relates to you. So let's look at a couple of things so that you can open up your minds in terms of considering whether you should be making an application. We are fully aware, and you must have heard that in the news, that some people traveled out of the country and were not allowed to return. They fall into this category. They were never allowed to return. Some people also have lived in the UK for such a long period of time before they were able to obtain leave to remain. And while they were in the UK, they suffered greatly because they could not prove that they had a right to live in the UK. What are the things that we are looking at? I'll give you a couple of examples once again to open you up. One, as you know, and this exists to this day, if you do not have a right to remain in the UK, you cannot legally rent property in the UK. Clearly, if you do not have a right to remain in the UK, you cannot work with your own name. There are other things that people don't look at. You might have children who are not able to attend university. They were paying foreign students fees because their parents could not show that they had the right to remain in the UK. And a couple of other things, like people were saying that they could not attend hospitals because when they asked them about their immigration status, they were not in the position to prove that they had the right to remain in the UK. And so many other things, like obtaining a driver's license. You are all aware now that if you want to attain a driver's license, one of the first things that you'll be asked is whether you have a right to remain in the UK. So a whole host of things that you should be considering when you want to make a claim to the Windrush team as a result of the Windrush scheme. So I hope to some extent I have succeeded in opening you up, giving you, if anything, food for thought to see whether you fit into the categories that we have mentioned. And it may well be that you are still thinking about this and you still haven't made up your mind whether you are in a position to do so. I must at this point say to you that the Home Office have a Windrush help team who are very, very helpful in assisting people with respect to their various questions. And now is the time that I need to debunk the idea that people are afraid to contact the Home Office, because in our own community, we have heard that people say, don't contact them because they will simply pass on your names to the enforcement team who will come looking for you. The Home Office have said, and in writing too, that that is not what they are here to do. As a matter of fact, they have taken it further by saying that not only will we not do that, but if we find that you should have obtained a right to remain as a result of their own omission, they will assist you in obtaining this right to remain. I hope what I've said is of use, and I would stop here until the second segment, when I come to explain how you can make the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dilidada. I think it's worth just mentioning that the Home Office have also shared some statistics around the numbers of people that have applied. And what we've done is we've extracted some of these statistics to kind of showcase the number of applications coming from the Nigerian community. So tech team, please, can you share the statistics slide for me, please? Okay. So this data was sent to us by the Home Office this is up until December 2023. So we haven't got the January figures just as at yet. And up until December 2023, they had received 7,862 applications, of which they've referred 2,863 for assistance. That means they've referred them to the help team to help them support their application. They are in the process of progressing on with 1,345 applications, and they have made final decisions on 6,472 applications. Of all the applications they've received, they've suspended 45 of those applications. They haven't given a reason as to why the applications were suspended, but this is the statistics that they have shared with us. Can we move on to the next slide, please? So in terms of status of the applications received, of the 7,862 applications received, Mr. Daly talked about the primary claims. They received 4,940 from primary claims. Those are people that are making applications for themselves. And then people making applications for estates, meaning people, family members that have passed on, they have received 1,043 applications. And then those applying for close family claims is 1,879. Now, if we move to the next slide, please. Now, you can begin to see of those number of applications, how many have come from Nigerians. So the primary claims, which is the highest number, which is 4,940, only 7 applications have come from Nigerians. And the claims for the estates, out of 1,878 applications that they've received, only 3 came from Nigerians. And of close family group, we have 1,043 applications, and none of them are from Nigerians. Hence the reason why we're having this event, to kind of raise the awareness to the Nigerian community, to make sure that people are putting in applications and finding out more about what their entitlements are in terms of the Windrush era. And the final slide, please. Again, they've given us a breakdown of how much they have paid out in compensation to date. So these are maybe in Nigerian, the Nigerian community is included in there, but these are all nationalities. So they have paid compensation to date of 80 million. and 69, oh God, 80, okay, that's the figure there. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Over 80 million. And then they've offered some of the claimants 88 millions to date. What that means is that they've offered it to them. Maybe they're disputing it, maybe they're contesting it. We don't know. But this is the figures that we've been presented with. Again, that should encourage you that applications are going through, applications are being made, applications are being successful. So that should encourage you to put in your application. Thank you. Thank you. You can stop sharing now. And at this junction, maybe what I want to do is take the second set of polls before I invite Mr. Dele Dada again to come and talk about how and where to apply, and then we'll take questions from the floor. So we need to publish the second set of polls now, please. Thank you. Can you guys please try and answer these questions?
Can people still participate in this poll, please? We've got less than 50% participating currently. Everybody on the call, we have about 98, well, 106 people on the call. Please participate in the poll so that we can get an accurate representation of the questions. Thank you.
Okay. So question one is basically around, before this event, just trying to find out if you knew that Nigerians could qualify for the Windrush Compensation Scheme. The whole idea of running this event is because, as you could see from the statistics, the numbers are very low coming from the applications coming from Nigerians. So the Home Office is trying to understand why it is that Nigerians are not coming forward. So the questions are based roughly around trying to understand why we're not coming forward. And if we were aware that we were part of the Windrush era. So that's the first question. And it says on question two, if you are aware that you're impacted by it and you have if you haven't made a claim, why haven't you made a claim? So you have to write a short answer there. And it's the third question says, thinking about the event today and based on the information that you have received, would you say that you were eligible to apply? Again, it's finding out, from what Mr. Dele has just said, it's just finding out if you're eligible to apply. Is it a yes or no? And if it's a yes, will you be applying for the scheme? I've got a message here saying somebody called Amina can't see the questions at all on her screen. I'm just going to go into the chats and see what's happening there. Can somebody help me read out the chats? I am. I don't think I can see the chats with
yeah.
Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Amin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think basically saying that please resend the question, not on my screen. So if you are not seeing the poll on your screen, it's probably something to do with your maybe the way you installed your Zoom or your device. If you've been here before it was projected, then you should see it. Restarting it or displaying it again would not solve the problem. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'm trying to get to the questions.
Responses are at about 80 now. If we don't go any higher than that, we might need to just stop the poll at the moment. Ireti, over to you.
Okay. Thank you. I think I'm going to bring back Mr. Dele Dada to tell us how and where to apply for the scheme. And then after that, we can take all the questions, including the ones in the chats. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm mandated to speak to you once again about how and where to apply. My starting point here would be to commend the Home Office on the basis that it's quite easy to apply. there's a dedicated form that can be obtained online, and you can apply from anywhere in the world. I think this is the bit that we need to take seriously. What do I mean by anywhere in the world? Do you recall that I had said earlier that some people actually left the country and were unable to return? So for instance, if you are stuck in a place like Nigeria, and this doesn't apply to Nigeria alone, I'm fully aware that some people have joined who are not Nigerians. So the answer to this question also applies to you. You can apply from anywhere in the world. And I make bold to say that the Windrush Help Team actually telephone people outside the UK. I've seen this happen before. So once you make your application and the Home Office are unclear about some aspects of the application, they will contact you wherever you are in the world on the assumption that in that application form, you have provided your contact details. So they're good like that. So I also want to look at some people have, I saw that flash up on the screen, some people actually being a bit despondent on the basis that they had made applications to the Home Office, which had been refused. Now, what tends to happen is that if you believe very strongly in your application, you can tell the Home Office to review their negative response. Initially, it will be reviewed by another Home Office member who had absolutely nothing to do with the first application. Following that, if the decision remains negative, you can request that the Home Office get an independent person to look at it. And I will make bold to say that it does not end there. Even on the basis that that second review is negative, it's debatable as to whether you want to judicial review that decision. Judicial review is a legal term that relates to a situation where you're saying somebody has abused their powers. So, of course, any lawyer can explain to you what exactly I mean by judicial review. So these options are open to you. And like I said, the last time I spoke, if the application does not cost you anything, where in doubt, why not make the application? And this is what I'm telling everybody that cares to listen, that the application is free. Make the application where you are in doubt. Also, you also need to consider too that the Home Office have said that they have extreme discretion in the matter. So sometimes to you, it looks like when you are looking at all the facts that on paper, it does not appear that you have, your application would have merit. The Home Office is saying, send this to us, let us look at it. This is why we are here. We'll come back to you with a decision. And like I said earlier, if the decision is unfavorable, then you can also take advantage of the other aspects of the procedure that would mandate the Home Office to look at it again. People have suffered tremendously. A colleague who is online was reminding me that, oh, I did not mention those people had to privately pay for their hospital bills. So I want to add that to the list of what I had been talking about before. So many aspects of people's lives that they've had to just shrug their shoulders and get on with it. Where in doubt, I would say, if, for instance, you are happy with what the help team have told you, you can also seek the assistance of a solicitor and ask a solicitor what they think before you decide whether to proceed or how to go about it. I always say in any event that when you want to make an application, you want to look at the level of compensation and how do you put your claim together to the Home Office. Sometimes you will need the assistance of a lawyer to help you put that together. So unless I can assist further, I think now is the time to leave you with the little bit of information that I provided so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dada. I think at this point, we're open to taking questions from the floor. And what I would like is one of the tech team to assist me because I cannot manage reading the questions from the screen. So if one of the tech team can assist me and read out the questions, and basically Mr. Dada or Mr. Wufeibo can take the questions from the floor. Thank you.
Okay, there's a hand up. Shudotun, yeah.
Shudotun. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, thank you so much for doing this. I think I put something on the group on the chat. So my question is, I'll make it very quick. My dad was in this country in 1964 and was here for like over 10 years, went back to Nigeria, came back 2 years ago, and we tried to do the Windrush, which was rejected, and we put it back in for another review. We haven't had anything, but this is now going. The first one obviously took a year from August to August when it was declined, and we've now put it back for another further review. I'm actually glad to know that we've been told now that if for any reason that is declined as well, we can still go for another review, which we didn't really know. If I can just clarify that my father was here, as I said, from 1964, and he left around 1976. And we've been here since like maybe 1995. However, it was still declined the Windrush, even though he even gets a pension here, got married here, gave birth to myself and my sister, and with all the documents, everything, Windrush Home Office still declined the application, even though we got all the documents that was needed. So I was a little bit shocked to see the statistics or the data that you have is saying is only probably maybe a few people that have actually applied through Windrush.
Which one of you guys is taking this one?
Okay, do you want to take it or you want me to take it?
You take that, and then I'll add to it.
What I will say is that I don't know where the question in that is because you gave us a bit of a summary. But the bit that I want to draw out of what you said is that, yes, you are entitled to a second review. So from what I can see, you are only, right now, you've only sent it back for the first review. So let's wait and see what the first review comes back with. If it's negative, we can ask, you can request for a second review. And like I said, depending on how strongly you think about it, there are also other options. So let's wait until you get the response from them. Thank you.
Okay, thanks ever so much. Thanks ever so much. Thank you. That's so helpful. Thank you.
Can I just also quickly add to that? Because you raised the question, which I think is quite important. You said that there appears to be very few Nigerians who've applied under the scheme. Is that correct? Hello?
Hello, sorry. Yeah, I was saying that I'm actually just shocked because I know some of my friends have gone under the same scheme. So the data, the statistics that was shown to us look a little bit, if I'm one of them, and some people that I know have been one of them as well, that data, probably, I was a little bit surprised to have seen that data.
Yes, I think you're quite right to be surprised, and I'll tell you why I believe there's been a low take-up from Nigeria and some other African countries. I would say that, or in fact throughout the Commonwealth, I would say that one of the biggest problems with this Windrush scheme, with the Windrush scheme, is that it hasn't quite had the same publicity as you had with the Brexit scheme, whereby you had jingles and announcements on the radio and TV for EU nationals to apply for settled status in the UK. That had widespread publicity, which you didn't quite have for the Windrush scheme. And of course, if I can put it this way, lots of European countries, I mean, the UK is in Europe. So I suppose one could say that Romania or Bulgaria or France or Italy are closer to the UK than African countries or countries in the Caribbean. So that may well explain the reason why there's been a low take-up from Nigeria and other countries of the Commonwealth, because the publicity hasn't been as widespread as you had for other schemes like the Brexit scheme. Thank you very much.
Can I also add to that as well? It depends also where people are applying from. If they're not applying from Nigeria, it depends on how you've described your ethnicity or nationality, and that's how they've kind of mapped out the data. It's based on people's nationality or ethnicity. It depends on how people have described themselves on the application.
And Ireti, sorry if I can just quickly add one more thing. I've just seen a question on the chat, which I think is quite interesting. Well, not a question, a comment, because this participant said that he thought that the Windrush scheme only applied to Caribbeans. And let's be frank here. Honestly, if I didn't know much about the scheme, I would probably think the same thing because of that name, Windrush. And the fact that Windrush is actually the name of the ship that brought the first West Indian immigrants to the UK. So there's that thing, that kind of image in people's mind that, oh, this is for West Indian immigrants, it's got nothing with anyone else. But I can assure you that no, it applies to anybody from the Commonwealth who was in the UK as of the 1st of January 1973. Thank you very much.
All right. The person with me, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Ireti, and thank you to the gentleman for the insightful and informative overview of the scheme. So my own situation is my parents were here back in the 70s, from the 60s to the late 70s, and a lot of us were born here, but we have a couple of siblings that were not born in this country. We have since, I'm aware of the compensation scheme. I'm aware of the Windrush. We've since been able to get the residential seat for my parents, and they're getting their pension and everything. They're now residing in the UK. My question is, when we try to apply for compensation so that we can try and see if we get my siblings that were not born here, that's still in Nigeria, it was refused. But we were not told we can reapply. So thank you for that information, Mr. Dele Dada. So what I'm hearing is that we can actually reapply. My question now is, because this was about 3 or 4 years ago, 4 years ago, is it best to put in a new application form, or should we try and resurrect the one that was rejected and follow through?
You've kindly mentioned my name, so I will respond. If I was advising you, if I was advising you, I would make a fresh application and I would explain exactly why I believe my siblings should benefit from the scheme. Sometimes we don't really explain exactly what we're looking for. And you remember I did say that at times, even if it's for a period of compensation, a period of consultation, there may be a need to seek the advice of a solicitor who will help you crystallize the claim. That will be my advice. But you need to make a fresh application, because I don't know the basis on which that was refused, but you've had some fresh information today, which you really want to include in the new application. And there's no rule against making 1, 2, 3, 4 applications. So I would be advising that you make a fresh application. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, the next person is Ola. You have your hand up. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Hello?
Yes, we can. Yes,
Hello?
yes, we can. Yes,
Hello?
we can.
Okay, sorry. Okay, that's it. Well, my question, because I missed a bit of the talk, is more of siblings as well. So I applied for my parents, the visa scheme and stuff, and initially they were in the UK, but when they asked for their biometric, they'd gone back to Nigeria, and then they asked me to ask them to apply for a Windrush visa in Nigeria, which was free, and they've come over and then they've given them a biometric card, resident card. Now, I've got siblings in Nigeria similar to the other lady. Are they entitled to apply to come into the UK under my parents? And then if so, what is that through the normal Windrush application form I used previously, or is there another method to do that?
Okay, do you want me to go or you are going?
No, because you're dealing with eligibility, I think you should answer that question.
Yeah, how I would deal with it, my response would be, one would want to know all the facts available. I'm not sure that I can provide full advice on the basis of the facts that you have given me. One has to know all the facts, and then when one has all the facts, one will be better placed to say yes or no, this is how you should go about it. Because these matters are always factual. Just leaving out one fact could lead to the application being refused. And just introducing one fact could lead to the application being granted. Yeah.
Let me just ask, what's at the moment, what I want to know is, without any complication, under the scheme as it is now, does that give allowance for siblings of parents that have got a Windrush application to apply for residency, or is not that straightforward? You need to do some other things to be eligible, is what I'm asking.
So what I think you're asking is that you want to know whether, as a result of your parents obtaining a leave to remain, your siblings can also benefit from that.
Yes, that's
the
one.
Where were your siblings born?
They were born in Nigeria.
When your parents were in Nigeria?
Yes.
Again, this is a situation where one would need to make a case. So I can't really say yes or no, but it's possible to make the case, yes.
Okay. So yeah, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Sorry, Ireti, before you take on the next question, can I just quickly say something here? There is a question that keeps coming up on the chart, and I think it's perhaps appropriate to quickly address it before we move on to the next question. And it's this: a lot of people are asking whether their parents who were in the UK, say in the 60s or early 70s, and went back to Nigeria before the 1st of January 1973, can still apply, or whether their children can apply. I'm afraid to say that the answer to that is no. The reason for that is that the commencement date of the Immigration Act 1971, which is 1st of January 1973, is the so-called Rubicon date. You must be in the UK on that date, or by that date, to be eligible, yes, or to qualify for the Windrush scheme. If you left the UK before the 1st of January 1973, I'm afraid the provisions of the Immigration Act of 1971 will not apply to you, because you've left before the commencement date of that legislation. So that's the short answer to that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anthony K.
Okay, the next person is, I do apologize, DLOMZ. Please go ahead. You have your hand up.
Okay, yeah, good evening. Good evening, all. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you, yes.
We can
go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I think thank you for the time and the insight. I want to find out. So, I mean, I think I should start by explaining my situation. Then you can advise me on it. My parents were in the UK in the 70s and left around I mean, sorry, they came in the 60s, yeah. They gave birth to 2 children, my 2 elder ones, a girl and a guy and a girl. And when they came back in the 70s, they gave birth to me, the last born, and another one in front of me. So we both are Nigerians. Right now, my mom, she gets her pensions. Right now, she's in the UK. She just came on holiday. She's going back. She gets her pensions, but I am in the UK right now. But of course, I don't have any right to remain. I don't have a right to work or anything. But I just came on holidays to play with my family and all that. I'm thinking of, okay, am I eligible to apply based on the fact that my parents were here during that period in question? Then what about my immediate senior brother? He's in America now. Can we both apply differently? That's another thing. Then the 2 other ones that were born here, I mean, they are British citizens, they've been here all this while. I'm sure there will not be any need for them to apply for anything. Then my mother in question, she's still alive, I mean, but very old. I'm sure she cannot. Yes, I can extract 1 or 2 information from her, but I can't really make her to write 1 or 2 things. I mean, to write things down. How do I go? How do I go around this? I hope I'm clear enough.
Well, I'll try. So your parents were here during the relevant period, is what you're saying?
Yes.
So we've established that. And you are saying that they returned to Nigeria.
Yes.
And had you and your siblings in Nigeria?
Yes, me and my immediate sibling. My immediate senior brother, yeah.
Yeah. So what we're really looking at is at the time that they returned to Nigeria, were they aware that they had a right to remain in the UK?
I'm sure
that's crucial, isn't it? Because if they were aware that they had a right to remain in the UK, it's quite possible that they would have had you and your siblings in the UK rather than in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yes, you are.
Like I told the previous speaker, every single issue is a question of facts, and there's no way you can provide 100% advice without looking at the facts. But I think I've opened you up a bit by telling you what I just explained now.
Yes, yes, I think it makes sense.
Thank you.
So can we apply it differently?
Yes, you can. But remember that your parents will be the primary source anyway.
Okay.
Sometimes it's better everybody should have a different application, but you send everything. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything. The applications are even free. Even to send them to the home office is free. So what you could do is, let's say you have 4 siblings, 4 applications in 1 envelope, so that they will know that it's part and parcel of the same family. I always advise that a covering letter is provided explaining the basis of what the application is.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can Antonia, your hands up? Go ahead. Antonia Lola Dixon. You need to unmute yourself. If you are speaking, we can't hear you. All right, there's probably some issue. Okay, me, you have your hand up. Is that a new hand?
I've had my hand on for.
Yes, me. It's a new house for me. Just a quick one. Sorry to interject before you go to the other person that had a hand up. Sorry, Mr. Dele Dada, you mentioned something about the last caller. Hello. Can I carry on or not?
Oh, just carry on. Me, Antonia, we'll pick your question afterwards.
Sorry, I was having difficulty muting. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'll just recap, Mr. Daily Dada. You just mentioned something to the previous caller before me. You said, did his parents know they had a right to remain in the UK? And I'm wondering why you asked that question.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is that it's quite possible that they would not have returned to Nigeria if they were aware that they had the right to remain in the UK. That's the simple answer.
Okay, so I asked this question because on my parents' Nigerian passports, they have a stamp until tomorrow. They still have that passport with a stamp that says they have the right to remain in the UK, but they left. I'm just wondering now whether that has been used against them, or am I just insinuating? I should just go ahead.
Yeah, there's a possibility, because if you now have children in Nigeria, you see, it becomes a bit more difficult explaining the basis on which the children should benefit, isn't it? I don't know if I'm making sense.
I do. I'm just wondering maybe this is why they were refused, because it was not really clear. Because I thought that was evident to us that are not legal. We see it as evidence that they had right to remain. But from what I'm hearing from you, it could be used against them that you knew you could stay, but you decided to go.
Exactly. So if you choose to reside elsewhere, and then you have your children in that country, it's not as if you have British citizenship. So you can only pass what you have. So if you have decided to disregard the right to live here, you go and live elsewhere, have your children there, it will be a difficult sell.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, me. Lala Dixon, are you
Okay,
there?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for this scheme and there's so much enlightenment. I'm really very grateful. Thank you so much. I have a dual nationality. My dad is a Nigerian and my mom a Guyanese from the Caribbean. And 2 years ago, my brother applied on behalf of my mom for the Windrush scheme and it was denied. I can't remember the details now because it was something new to me. He is based in the UK. He's the second. He was born in the UK. I'm currently in the UK also. The first and second were born in the UK. So he applied and all that. And I got to know about the Windrush then, trying to understand what it actually meant. Well, I'm glad to know that it also extends to people that have Nigerian background also. So my parents were in the UK in the early 60s and they left in 1977. 1977 years or 1978 yes, a few months after my brother was born. And like I said, my mom's application was refused, but I'm glad to know that we can try again. There's no harm in trying, which we're going to do. I'm very glad about that. But then I would like to find out if my brother who was born in the UK, who is resident here, and my sister also can apply under this scheme. And also the rest of us born in Nigeria can also benefit from this scheme. The last two speakers mentioned the leave to remain. I remember my mom also has a leave to remain, but then she had to relocate on the grounds of, because my dad got a job back home in Nigeria, so she had to relocate with him. Of course, she was going there for the first time. So that was the basis upon which she had to relocate. It's not like she doesn't know he had, but based on marriage, because the family cannot be apart, and it was a young family there. So I don't know, based on some of this ground, because you've earlier mentioned that your case will be treated on the basis of the grounds and facts in your particular case. So based on this ground, does it look like we have a positive, like we have hope? Like there's hope for us to apply under the scheme, and also my siblings that were born in Nigeria alongside myself, can we also apply? Does it look like there's light down the tunnel for us? And the other two siblings who were born in the UK who had to relocate along with my mom when my dad got a job in Nigeria. Thank you very much, and thank you once again. Thank you.
I actually missed a bit of what you were talking about. You went quiet. I don't know if that was me alone.
Okay. It was you alone. It was actually you.
Oh, it was me alone.
Everything. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So Kay, I'll leave that to you to deal with that because I missed some of it.
I heard all that she said. Antonia, thank you for that question. Yes, of course, if your mother, yes, was qualified or had the provisions of the Immigration Act apply to her under the relevant Windrush scheme, then not only would she be able to apply for documentation, yes, for confirmation of her right to indefinite leave in the her right to indefinite leave in the UK. You, her children, would also qualify to apply, yes, for documentation confirming your right to indefinite leave in the UK. Because remember, she may well be the primary claimant, but you, the children, can also apply, yes, under her. So I don't. So what's her current status? What's in terms of, you said she had leave to remain before she went to Nigeria. Is that right?
Yes, she had to relocate because my dad got a job and the family was very young. She had to go with the 2 little children back to Nigeria. And she was going to time.
So she was in the UK before 1st of January.
Yes, she was in the UK in the 60s. Yes, she moved from Ghana to work in the UK. So she and my dad met in the UK, got married in the UK, settled down, all that. And they left in 1978, early 1978 for Nigeria. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this question because I think it's the key question. Before your mom left for Nigeria in 1978, was she granted indefinite leave to remain in the UK? Do you know whether she was granted? She was.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, so she had indefinite leave to granted.
Yes.
So she had indefinite leave to remain in the UK, and then she went to join your dad in Nigeria.
Yes, sir, because my dad got a job and the family was young. She had to go with him with the 2 little children, so she had to leave Nigeria.
Well, I've got to say that her case is slightly different from the general run of cases because you see, she doesn't fall into the category of undocumented Commonwealth citizens who are eligible for indefinite leave to remain, but were not issued with documentation to that effect. In the case of your mom, she was actually granted indefinite leave to remain before she went to Nigeria. So there's a slight difference there, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is not quite the same because if you were to put in a claim, say for example for compensation, what the Home Office would say is that, well, as far as your mom is concerned, she wouldn't have suffered any losses. This is talking about compensation because she was documented and she had indefinite leave to remain in the UK. So that's a slightly different scenario. And of course, with regards to the children born in Nigeria, that's you and your siblings, the position would then be that, okay, fine, she had you in Nigeria, she had indefinite leave to remain in the UK, and you may well think that perhaps you could apply on that basis. But remember, she had spent more than 2 years in Nigeria.
Yes.
And that would complicate matters because the general rule is that once you spend more than 2 years outside of the UK, you no longer be able to take advantage or have or claim, you will lose that right to indefinite leave to remain. That is the general rule. So it's a big, because my impression was that she wasn't documented, but because she was documented and the Home Office would have those records, it's a bit more complicated. Okay, that's all I would say.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat, go ahead.
Take the next, Kemi, before we take the next question, I just need to divert you to the chats as well. There's some questions in the chats that we need to pick up, and some of those questions have been waiting for a while. Also, to let people know that we're going to leave the contact details for the legal team on our website as well. So if you want to ask them questions, you can ask them questions. They probably will be able to tell you yay or nay, or just advice in general. But I think if you want anything deeper than that, then you have to consult with them directly. Also, to let people know that we will be sharing, we will be publicizing the recording of this event so you can go back and see the information that's been shared today. We also have some leaflets, flyers, telephone numbers, and websites for you to go and get more information if you want. So we'll be sharing that on the NSF website, and we'll also be emailing everybody that's participated in this event today. So if your questions don't get answered, please do not worry. We'll try and make sure we get to them at some point, or through the leaflets that we share. Maybe some of your questions could be answered there. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Kevin.
Ireti, I just want to say that I noticed that there are 44 questions in the chat. It's physically impossible for us to deal with all those questions.
We won't be able to.
See some very long questions flashing up, and they are wanting answers. It's very difficult for us to provide answers without having a factual background. It's impossible. And we wouldn't really want to mislead people. So I've seen loads of questions that have almost like half a page. It's impossible to deal with those kind of things. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
just
I
for
think
people to be aware that we can't take all of those questions tonight, because we've only got about how many more minutes to go? 18 more minutes to go. So let's see what we can do in 18 minutes.
All right, Ireti, what do you want? Should I just look into the chat, or the ones who have their hands up?
I've got my hands up for
Some of the ones on the chat have
Yeah.
been there for a while.
Yeah, so Pat, go ahead.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. And can you please make your question very, very brief as possible?
I am trying.
Please. Thank you.
I put one in the chat already, but I thought I'll ask. So when Mr. Dada was talking, he talked about 3 ways you can apply. Your parents can apply directly, you can apply as a person, and then I can't remember the third one. Now, my question is, both my parents are dead, and I don't even know what their status was. They came into this country in the 60s and they left in the 60s. So they were not here till the 70s. Yeah, so they literally stayed here about 3-4 years. So my question is, if they can't apply, can I apply? Because I came back to this country before I was 18, but I paid overseas student fees for the first few years that I was here before I became recognized as a citizen, even though I had a British passport. So I got my British passport right from Nigeria, and it was my first passport. And then I got to this country straight to a boarding school. And I was paying overseas students' fees even in my higher education before, in the first 3 years that I was here. So that is my question. Would I qualify on my own behalf?
Pat, when did you come to this country?
Early 80s, 1981.
Yes, so if you came before 1988, and you came before you were 18, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's something to look into. It's worth looking into.
You.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I told you it was quick.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I hope my response was equally quick.
Yes,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lads.
You want to take one from the chat?
Hi, good evening. Good evening.
Very, very quick, please.
Yeah, thanks for the insight and everything. My own question here, my case is a bit complex, I would say. My father was in the UK 58 to 1971. So I think he was British, yeah? So I don't know if he renounced, sorry? My father, my dad was British. So I don't know if he renounced his passport or something, his citizenship. I think he renounced it, I'm not sure. Because later years, he had to go to UK with a visa. Later years, he's late now. I was born 1984. So I was told I didn't qualify for anything under the Margaret Thatcher, blah, 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 blah. So I'm wondering, what may I qualify for? I don't know if there are some things I may have missed along the way. I was born in the UK, but right now I'm based in Nigeria though. So when I go to the UK, I went with a visa some years ago.
So it's looking like let's leave your parents out of it because you don't have enough facts for us to consider. But for you as an individual, it's looking like you told us that you arrived before 1988.
I was born in
Is that what you
1984.
said?
No,
That
I was
exactly. And you are,
I'm
and
based in Nigeria.
were you below the age of 18 at the time you arrived?
No, I was born there in 1984. But
Sorry,
I did
born
not
where?
in the UK.
Yes, so
But
yes, if you are in the UK before 1988, it's worth looking into.
But I am not based in the UK. I'm based in Nigeria. You know, there was a law.
So if I understand you very well, how long did you stay in the UK?
I think 2 years. I'm not sure. About 2 years there, about.
I think you two might be caught by that rule where they say that you did not spend enough time in the UK to benefit. Kay was explaining to a lady previously that even when you have been granted leave to remain, once you leave the country for more than 2 years, it becomes an issue. So even though on all the facts that you provided, except the fact that you did not reside in the UK for a long period of time, all the other facts are relevant. Is that not being in the UK for a significant period of time that could be a problem?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand. Okay. So
Thank you.
My dad,
Thank you. Sorry?
My dad being British in the past. Not like I'm talking about that, right?
Say that again.
Sorry?
My dad who was British. Can anything be done about that?
Your dad was British?
Yeah. Or he came back in 71.
No, I'm not really clear.
Your
dad was British and he came to the UK in 1970.
He came back to Nigeria 1971.
Oh, he went back to no, but he's British. So what are we looking at if he's British?
And later when he had to go back to the UK, he used to go on a visa with a Nigerian passport. So I don't know what happened along the way.
Well, it's looking like you don't lose your nationality. Do you understand what I'm saying? So unless they renounced it, that's a difficult one because you don't, and United Kingdom allows dual nationality. So I cannot understand, I can't get my head around the fact that he was British at one time and no longer British. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I do apologize. Can I just take a few in the chat, and they're more or less saying the same thing. So there's someone who's saying, I'm not even sure if I'm eligible. My mother came in 1967 when I was 5 months old. I left UK as a child in 1976. Am I eligible? Somebody said my dad studied and I'm assuming that means lived in the UK for 17 years before returning. Am I eligible? Those sorts of questions. Somebody asked if we can provide the link to the form. Is there somewhere where they can get the form?
Yeah, Ireti said that she will be providing more information. So they will definitely have information as to how to obtain the form.
Yeah. Most of the questions are similar, giving stories of how their mothers and parents, they studied here. I will just take two more because we're running out of time. So I'll just take Salu Idris.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
My parents, they came into the country in the 60s, and we have 4 siblings ahead of me. They were born in UK here, but my parents came back to Nigeria and had me and my twin brother in Nigeria. At the moment, I'm in UK now. My twin brother is in Nigeria. I'm on a family vote for leave to remain. I've done 5 years already. I'm just wondering if this can help me to obtain my citizenship, because each time I have to renew, I have to pay a lot of money to renew my leave to remain BRP card. I don't know if this can apply to me as well.
But when did your parents return to Nigeria?
I think they returned end of 73.
End of 73.
Yes, well, definitely.
Are they still in Nigeria?
They're both late now.
They're both
But
late.
my elder was a citizen, the UK citizen. They got the citizenship because they were born here. Three of them.
If they return to Nigeria at the end of 73, they would ordinarily have qualified. Okay. So they are late now. So you said you were born here. Is that what you said?
No, I was born in Nigeria, me and my twin brother. My elder ones were born here. 4 of them were born here.
So what we'll be looking at is exactly why your parents returned at the end of 73. Do you understand what I mean? If they were aware that they had the right to remain here, then obviously that might have passed to you. But if they return to Nigeria of their own volition, then it's a question of maybe they will be losing that right.
Okay.
Again, these applications need to be developed. Like I said, there's no one answer to all of these applications. You need to look at all the facts critically and advise thereafter. So,
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Before we take
another one, hang on, please, before you take another one,
I wanted to ask, is there another poll?
The last, another poll, the final poll.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah. So tech team, can you please put the final poll up? This poll is around how you feel that the event went today. If you can just rank this for us so that for future events we know how to we improve on what we've done today. So please, I implore you to please take part in this poll. Thank you. Whilst the poll is going on, can I ask Mr. Dada or Mr. Agufeibo to please pop your telephone number or details in the chats, because people are asking for it.
You have our number, so you can put them in the chat on our behalf. Thank you.
I just needed authorization.
You're good to go.
Okay.
We've got 5 minutes left around.
Yeah, sorry, Ireti, I've just sent a message on the chat. Someone's saying she can't see number 6.
Scroll down.
You just scroll.
Yes.
Just to scroll.
Scroll down. Yeah.
Yeah, just scroll.
The scroll apparently doesn't work.
It's only to number 4. Not more than number 4.
No, I can see number 6 as well. I'm scrolling, but it's not moving.
Can I read out number 6 for all those who can't see it? So
okay, I've got it.
All right.
Got it.
For those who haven't, it says the atmosphere in the group was conducive to learning. That's question 6.
Pertaining to the 4, you know, it goes far as 4, not 6.
Options. It's the options for question 1 or 2 or so that says 1 to 6, but we've only got 1 to 4.
I think the poll can be closed now. We've only got 2 minutes left and we need to round up.
Sorry, which poll is this?
This poll is really just to find out how the event went. That's basically what this bit is. I've got somebody who's asking a very quick question. Anthony or Dele, can you please answer this one? It says, I came to study in 1984. Am I eligible to apply?
Yes, is the person still in the UK?
Are you still in the UK?
Adebisi. No,
yes,
sorry,
Yeah, you came before 1988, so it applies to you.
All right, I think I'll just hand back to Ireti. Apologies to those who
Sorry
had
about
their hands
that,
up.
but I have my British nationality now. Am I still eligible? Yeah, I'm the one that asked the question. I came to study in 1984, and I've been here since, so even though I go on holiday, I come back, and I'm a British citizen now. Is it applicable to me?
Go ahead, Dele. That is the last one. Apologies.
I think Anthony wants to answer that because I missed some of it.
Sorry, it depends on what you want to apply for. You said, are you still eligible to apply for what?
Yeah, for what we are talking about. Isn't it just one thing? I don't know. I just told you my situation.
No,
so
it's actually comprised of two elements. Are you talking about applying for compensation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it took me a long time to get a job. I was highly qualified. I got my first degree, master's degree. I came from Nigeria with a first degree, and I came here to University of London. I studied education and psychology, and then I got my master's degree in organization planning and management from University of Reading. The first university was University of London. And it took me years, to get a job, So I don't know whether I'm qualified to apply for anything.
That's a good question. What was the reason for why you couldn't get a job in those years? Was it because of your immigration status or what?
Yes, please. Yes. But despite that, I continue to apply. I still applied to council, to local government, local council. Yes, I still continue to apply, even though I know I don't have the, yeah.
Were the prospective employers asking for evidence of your immigration status in the UK, which you couldn't find?
Yeah, but then, during that time, during that period, it took a long time, and I was really disappointed because I couldn't get a job.
I'm afraid we have to draw this to a close now because we did say that this is the time has passed. It is fast spent. We have to draw it to a close now. I'm apologizing that we didn't get to answer everyone's questions.
Yeah, but
like I
it's
said,
not fair to just, stop in the middle of answering my question. And there are two legal people, or persons that can answer my question. So I don't know why I should just
let me quickly respond. Let me quickly respond to you.
That would be very good, rather than
she has provided our telephone numbers on the chat.
Okay.
There's no way we can answer all the questions. It's not physically possible.
Okay.
It's not possible.
Okay, so what?
Don't worry, send in your questions to our telephone numbers and we will respond. Okay.
But it's still not fair.
The telephone numbers are in the chat.
If you want a quick answer, if you want a very quick answer, the reason why Anthony was asking you those questions is that, like I said earlier in my talk, everything is a question of facts and evidence. So if you have the facts and the evidence that there was a reason why you are not getting the jobs, yes, by all means, make the application. But you can't just make an application and say this happened because of this. The evidence has to be solid.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
All right.
Ireti, you only put Dele's number.
Rather than just to, cancel my question,
both numbers.
So.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much for the.
I only saw Dele's one.
Yeah, because I had to extract them, it took a while. So both numbers are on there. But when I send out the information as well, it will be on there. When we put the information on our website, the numbers will be on there for people that want to ask questions. But I must say, it's just for questions or clarity. If you need further advice, then obviously the time is not free. Okay. So can I hand over to Vicky now to just say to close us out?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Vicky Oshifeso and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of NSF. I would like to say thank you to everyone. This has been a very stormy session, I have to say. And Kay and Daly, wow. I have to say that you have your hands full this evening, and you are going to have your hands full again with lots of people contacting you with questions. Thank you, everybody. I know we cannot answer everybody's questions. You know, you all have a right to answers. You have a right to answers to your questions, but we cannot do it on this webinar. Otherwise, we're going to be here for a very long time. But as you can see, everybody's situation is different, and it's only when you contact panelists, then you'll be able to your questions may be answered. I'd like to thank Ireti for getting the putting forward the grant for us to get this webinar done, and I have to thank the team, the project team, those who are behind the scenes who do all the work. Thank you so much. And of course, I have to thank Daly and Kay for taking time out this evening to answer people's questions. And then I have to thank everybody who has joined this webinar as well, who have taken time to answer, put their questions across and take time to attend online. We are going to close this webinar right now. And once again, I say thank you to all. For our NSF members who are online, this is just a reminder to let you know about the quiz night that will be taking place on Friday. There's still time to get your tickets. So all the details are on the notice board and on the open forum and on the website. So thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.